Green tea. Coffee. Green tea. Coffee. Green tea.
Hello everybody, I am PhenomSage, and welcome back to another Place Further Than the Universe episode review. Today we are going to be talking about episode 6, Welcome to the Durian Show. And what a time indeed, because we have finally started our journey, our adventure. Sure, we're not in Antarctica yet, but I hope that this little traveling sequence, seeing the world, seeing the sights, is enough to appease some people until we get there, because it feels just as much of a journey as it would be if we were actually in Antarctica. Now, of course, you know what I have to focus on. I've been praising her, I've been putting her on this pedestal for so long, and finally, Hinata gets the focus and spotlight that she deserves. Not to say that she hasn't really gotten screen time in the past few episodes, but she has kind of been on the sidelines, more so helping others, giving advice to the other girls, not really much focus being put on her and her character, which is why I enjoyed this episode so much, because we finally got another side to her, another look into her character that we didn't know before. We didn't know that this side of her was here. There was some minor foreshadowing and alluding to this side of her in previous episodes. Like when we learned that she left high school, we never really got a real reason for that. Or even last episode, somebody pointed this out. There's a beautiful shot of Hinata last episode where as she's going for the airport, she's just walking with her suitcase and she's going the exact opposite direction as everybody else and not paying them any mind, which is really good visual storytelling to just show Hinata's disposition towards everybody. The fact that she's always felt detached and disconnected, and despite that is going on this journey with these girls. So yeah, I love that we get that focus in this episode, and it was nice to see Hinata in a place where she is the one that needed help, not the one who was helping other people, because like I said, she's been giving advice, tips, just everything to all of the other characters for multiple episodes at this point. It was about time that we saw Hinata in this place of desperation where she just needed somebody. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little bit concerned and worried about Shirase's priorities in this episode, and it really just goes to show how far our characters have come, because when you see Shirase worrying about not making it onto the flight, not being able to get there in time, you can tell that she is very upset about it, and she is contemplating on what she wants to do at this point. And I was worried because I knew how much she wanted to go on this trip, how important it was to her above everybody else in the group, and how it's been her number one priority this entire time. So I would not have been surprised at all if she was like, okay, Hinata, you come join us later, or say, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, we're gonna have to go on without you. And I think that episode 1 Shirase totally would have done that, which is why it's all the more beautiful by the end of the episode that Shirase is just offering up her million yen just so Hinata can come with them, and she says it herself, all 4 of us going now is my new priority, my number 1 priority. And the show has just done such a good job of writing these characters where this feels completely natural. Over the episodes and the months that they knew each other, it is so believable that Shirase would have formed this connection with all of them and is not leaving a single one behind, despite her desire to get there being so strong. And I love that. The show just displays character development and character work in general just beautifully. But I just want to focus on Hinata's character specifically for a moment here and just say she has just gotten better and better, and that is saying something for someone who I have proclaimed as best girl for a numerous amount of weeks at this point. As I prefaced with, I just love seeing a side of her that we haven't seen before. She has been the calm and collected one for I don't know how long at this point, and it's nice to see a side of her that doesn't know how to correctly handle the situation or have some advice that she's able to give to somebody. She doesn't have a trademark Hinata quote to encourage herself. She's kind of on her own, and in this episode we learn that she almost has trust issues and anxiety, and the root of that anxiety and the root of the problem in this episode is that she doesn't like people going out of their way for her. She doesn't want them to be considerate of her or give her special care or attention because it makes her feel like she can't get a proper read on their feelings, and I'm sure that there's some paranoia there, wondering if that's what they really want to do. do, or if they're just doing it to be considerate, which I completely understand Hinata's mindset here. She just wants people to be real with her so that she can feel like she has that proper connection. And it's honestly sad to see Hinata in this situation where she feels like she can't connect with somebody when they're being considerate. It makes me think that she has never really had a real friend like these girls who treat her the way they do. She just deserves all the best, and I'm glad that she is finally with people that care about her. But I do wonder, and I was thinking about this during the episode, now that we got this Hinata spotlight, I wonder if they'll ever zone in on the rest of her past that we're not seeing. We're seeing minor glimpses, we're seeing hints of it. Will we ever get that full backstory of what's happened to her, especially in high school and why she left high school in the first place? I think despite this focus in this episode, we still will get that backstory in the future. They just allude to it so much, and there was some really good speculation last week that said that Hinata probably ran track in high school, which is why in episode 2 she was such a good runner, and last episode why she was staring at those shoes. I questioned that. I was like, what is going on there? That is most likely the reason why she left high school, and that is shown even further in this episode when we see these minor flashbacks to her past, and we see these girls who appear to be in uniforms, and why Hinata was looking at these girls in uniforms at the beginning of this episode. So yeah, it all lines up, and I hope we get more information on this in the future. And before we move on from this last section of the episode, I just have to say that Shirase finding the passport in her purse might be the funniest scene in the series, and I know that's a high bar. You still have that kitchen scene with Mari's mother, but it was just so funny, and the way the OST was used to just create that sense of dread and tension that you would get if you misplaced something like that in real life was just so well done, so relatable, so funny, just very well executed in general. And that leads me into a lot of the little details in this episode that I also found relatable and just well executed. Very subtle and nuanced details that weren't brought attention to, but just added to this feeling of, oh, we're on a journey, we're traveling, this is real. Things like the ticket lady at the airport glaring at them, or Mari being the one who grabs people in her sleep, and so the rest of the girls are like, okay, who's sleeping next to Mari? It's just really cute, and it reminds me of a few field trips that I used to have back in school where I would just be in very similar situations. And even getting into the nitty gritty of traveling in this episode, like transferring planes, exchanging money, even a little bit of English in there. It's just very refreshing because it shows that this team is taking this entire concept seriously. And I know I brought that up before about how the way that this show portrays traveling, preparing for traveling, etc., is so realistic, but it has to be said again, they're just treating this very respectfully, and the grounded approach really makes me appreciate the process of these girls getting to where they're going that much more, because they could easily just say, oh, we're in Australia now, oh, we're in Antarctica now, just 2 time skips over planes or something. But no, we're seeing the entire process, and some people might be impatient about that and say, let's just get to Antarctica. I don't agree. I think that this is very fitting to what this show's motif is about the adventure and the journey. I really enjoyed the line that Mari says as she's just overlooking the entire city, and she just says so many people are living so many kinds of lives out there. And again, talking about fitting the motif, I just think about this all the time, and Shirase does say, yeah, that's just common sense that all of those people have lives, but it's so different and enriching just thinking about every single person on the street and how they have their own lives, their own goals, and it's kind of overwhelming because it just makes you feel like a tiny part of something much greater. And no, I'm not trying to get all philosophical, I'm just saying that that mindset adds to Mari's sense of adventure, because even when they leave, these people will still all be doing their own things, living their own lives. And finally, before we end this review off, I just want to talk a little bit about Yuzuki and her dynamic with the rest of the group. I feel like ever since we got that Yuzuki focused episode a bit back, she really hasn't gotten as much screen time as I would like. And so this is the first episode where we've really seen the way that she plays off the group to a greater extent. Her dialogue, the way that she approaches situations, and you can tell that she is definitely the down-to-earth one and not as outgoing as the other girls. But that is not a negative by any means. In fact, fact, I really like the way that contrasts with the other characters. She's kind of like a foil to everybody else's hyperness, for lack of a better word, and her straight-faced dialogue can be incredibly funny and entertaining. So I really enjoy the way that her character was handled and placed into this group, because I saw a few people in the comments way back, not last episode, but a few weeks back, just saying they wondered how she would play off the rest of the group, because Mari, Shirase, and Hinata already seem like a perfect group. They play off of each other so well, it might hurt the group to add another character who doesn't have that same chemistry, but I'm glad that she does fit in as well in her own unique way. But that's been all from me for this Place Further Than the Universe episode review. Thank you all so much for watching. I do have a question for all the worldly people out there though. I've never had them, but I do want to know if you think durians are as bad as they do in this episode, because I've never really heard that they're so bad like that. It's interesting to see them just be this repulsive food in this episode. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. But otherwise, thank you guys as always for the likes, comments, support. We just hit 3,000 subscribers, and that is of course thanks to your support. All of the things I just mentioned, thank you for supporting me as a content creator. I'm glad that you guys enjoy the reviews, analysis, just everything that I do on these series, and I hope that you'll just continue to join me for more as we continue into 2018. And of course, as always, have a great day.